when my fiancée, Clara, drew me aside to declare she needed a break from our relationship. It felt as though the earth tilted beneath my feet. Her voice was calm but detached as she admitted she'd grown fond of a colleague named Mason. She spoke of her confusion about her feelings and her desire for distance to sort through them. I didn't argue or beg. Instead, I offered a silent nod, stepped out of the apartment we shared, and made a decision that would redefine my life. Without telling a soul, I left the city behind. I moved to a quieter, smaller town 6 hours away, where my old college buddy Ryan resided. He helped me settle in, and I found a simple apartment while keeping up with my remote work. My energy shifted toward rebuilding myself. At first, the nights were oppressive, filled with questions about what had gone awry. I couldn't stop thinking about whether Clara longed for me, or if she was happy with Mason now. Those initial weeks were agonizing. I saw her posts online, her bright smile in pictures, often with Mason nearby. I decided to unfollow her on every platform. That day, I cut myself off from social media entirely, letting go of the part of me that held on to the hope of her coming back. I started running in the mornings, eating better, and signed up for a local gym. Slowly, the pain turned into determination. Over time, I built new routines and formed bonds in this unfamiliar place, meeting people who knew me as just me, not as Clara's other half. I rekindled my love for painting, a passion I'd set aside since my college days. The stillness, once daunting, became a wellspring of peace. The hurt remained, but it was healing. 6 months later, with Ryan's encouragement and help from a local artist, I opened a small art studio in the town center. It was modest, but it became my haven. The townsfolk started to appreciate my work, and I was even highlighted in a local magazine. It seemed surreal, as if I'd discovered a side of myself I hadn't known existed when I was with Clara. One rainy afternoon, Clara appeared at my studio. I hadn't seen her in months. She stood there, visibly nervous, clutching a small umbrella and her purse as if they could anchor her. She said she'd heard about my studio and had driven hours to visit. I stayed calm, inviting her in politely. She wandered through, complimenting my paintings, then quietly confessed she'd made an error. Mason, she admitted, had lost interest after a few months, and she'd realized too late what we'd had. Tears brimmed in her eyes as she asked if we could talk, perhaps consider starting again. But my heart had moved on. Hearing her words was like watching an old movie from afar. You remember the feelings, but they no longer consume you. I told her I appreciated her honesty but explained that I'd progressed, not just from her but from the man I was when I loved her. She nodded, struggling to keep her composure, her regret clear. After she left, I sat in the studio for hours thinking. It wasn't victory or satisfaction I felt, it was closure. I'd long imagined this moment and how it might unfold, but in reality, it was serene and subdued. I held no anger or bitterness. I was simply done. That night, I joined friends to celebrate a birthday. We laughed, danced, and shared jokes late into the evening. I realized I was truly happy again. Not because Clara had come back, but because I had rediscovered myself. Weeks later, Clara didn't return. She sent a final message, thanking me for my kindness and wishing me well. I replied in kind, without resentment, just a goodbye my heart had already uttered long before. In time, I started dating again carefully, with someone who loved art, quiet moments, and morning coffee as much as I did. We moved slowly, two souls who'd been wounded, learning to build something resilient together. Looking back, I'm grateful Clara asked for that pause. It broke me, yes, but it also liberated me. I found a new town, a new life, and most importantly, a new version of myself. Sometimes, losing someone is the beginning of finding everything you never knew you lacked.